was Alabama.
How's everything else?
Oh, that's nice.
Good possible. Make an announcement here.
Yeah, well, I heard the ladies have gotten in fights on that.
Yeah. Kind of calm.
Nothing wrong with that.
Everybody's trying to get it.
Oh yeah. Bingo.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that either. There's so many that aren't.
Bingo and
So many out there.
I don't know.
Well, hey, your charges and grease interceptors? Oh, you tabling them? Okay.
Right. And you know,
Oh, really?
they're probably ready. Yeah, it's good CEO.
Yeah. They have their spot. I say that's the most arguing Yeah, they argue over chairs, they argue over like the speed, the cars, the speed that you're calling it over. Some say it's too fast, some say it's too slow, it's too hot in there, it's too cold. No, that's my buddy. It's like, big guy. Okay.
I just wondered, I didn't want to miss it when I was getting the signatures and all that.
the costume.
Alright, we ready?
All together.
I haven't seen her get up.
Hi, Lee.
Hey Lee, how are you? Hi Lee, how you doing?
It's on. We're good.
All right.
That's
right.
That's what I used to say. I'm running for nothing but the hills.
I'll gavel Tony. All right.
You enjoyed that, didn't
Welcome everybody. The City of Lawrenceburg Utility Service Board meeting for May 28, 2019. Can we get a roll call, please?
Board Member Tony Abbott.
Here.
Board Member Aaron Cook.
Here.
Board Member Mel Davis.
Here.
Board Member Randy Abner.
Here.
Board Member Paul Seymour Jr.
Here.
City Attorney Del Weldon.
Here.
Utility Director Olin Clausen.
Present.
President Kelly Milan.
Here.
And myself.
Okay, announcements.
I'll cover them under committee reports, Your Honor.
Okay, I've got a couple announcements I just want to make. We just found out today, we've been, I think it's been going on for 6 years. If y'all remember when a check was wrote to a company by the name of Pro Maxima,
Yep.
the same check was written to Proximo, and it was about 6 years ago, I guess. So we've been chasing that $385,000 for about 4 or 5 years, I guess. We found out today that we got a judgment on it, and actually they got to pay us back $488,000.
Will we actually get any money?
Oh yeah, yeah, yep,
Get the judgment, let's see if we get this money.
yep. Yes, we should get our money. So that's a good. We just found that out today, so I wanted to make that announcement at this meeting. And then one other thing I want to make all of you aware of up here and out in the audience, but the park opening is this Saturday. Most festivities will start at noon, go to 4 o'clock, but 11:30, the color guard is coming over. We're going to have the flag raising, so I, appreciate it if everybody could be there for that. It'll be a pretty good day. Weather's looking pretty good, and
We ever figure out a name for that yet? Anybody come up with any?
no, we'll probably have to come up with some kind of a contest or something and figure out
I'm throwing mine in for Veterans Park.
Oh, okay. So you must have been thinking about this.
I've been thinking about it.
Yeah.
It's either going to name it after myself or Veterans, so I decided Veterans.
Yeah, I think we could take a vote on that right now, and no, it's not going to be called Tony Abbott Park. Okay, but we need to get on that. So, we're trying to get the park open first. But anyway, no other announcements, Enola?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, now I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the previous meeting.
So move.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Committee reports.
First thing on fiber optics, we're hooking up on average about 3 customers per day right now. And we're getting quite a list of people built up that have come in and actually applied for service. So we're getting those things scheduled and in the process of getting people hooked up. We're having, it's turning out, the momentum's starting to pick up, starting to gain. It's really kind of starting to turn the corner. We got the contract with the LEC, the Lawrenceburg Event Center that we brought up some time ago. We have successfully got into the island there. We'll be working this next Friday to get pulled into their tech room. That's a substantial contract for the fiber utility. We also are starting to pick up and provide services for the city and for the utilities now on our own. So we're making substantial progress on that. Pole upgrades. Myself and Mario Todd and Mike Harper have been looking at the poles over in and around the fairgrounds. This kind of got brought about because of the ads that Toyota was shooting over there that involved Mario's boy, JR.
Oh.
And we thought that there could be some ways that we could clean the park up a little bit, condense some of those multiple metering points down to 1 or 2 or 3 metering points, and just have a more presentable park. If that's something, this is really a question to the Utility Service Board, if that's something that you guys would like to see us pursue, we can get some costs worked up on that and let you guys know what it is. I want some direction from you all on whether or not that's something you're interested in.
When we get the different metering points, will it clear up? You know, are we gonna be accepting more electric, or will you be dividing it up to the people that lease it? It'll be an easy to figure out who owes us what.
The city has, so right now we've got multiple meters there that feed multiple mill banks. And so you'll have a meter that feeds, 4 or 5 mill banks, and who's drawing what from each one of those individual mill banks is hard to say. The 1 meter point collects that information, but it's hard to say if you've got 4 people there hooked up, who's consuming what. So I think what the city's doing now is charging a flat rate, right? I think that's what they do, is they charge a flat rate for the people who go over and use it. At least it's out of our hands, the utility's hands. The city has the main primary meter bill, they pay that. We're just looking at ways that maybe we can clean that up, still keep the mill banks there for people to utilize, but instead of having a bunch of old poles through there, we'd clean it up, put some nicer aluminum poles in, get rid of some of the overhead, clean it up with some nice mill banks and some underground installations.
Could we put some underground over there?
Yeah, that's what we would be doing.
Make it look like cleaner.
The only poles really that would be out in that main area would be street light poles, nicer aluminum street light poles.
Just to clarify what he was asking, Lawrenceburg Speedway is the only one. We actually bill from your bills. That's what they get billed. So it's off of those meters, or actual readings. And then Antique Market, which is just Agner Hall, they get charged a flat rate for utilities.
So I don't think it would change that relationship. It would just be a cleaner install. But obviously we'd come back with some estimated costs of what that would take and get some input from you all if we want to do that.
Do we have any issues with the campers and stuff plugging into different?
No, we wouldn't change that. Instead of being an overhead service, you'd be an underground service, so it wouldn't change the nature of those. It would just be an effort to clean it up. So.
I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing cost.
Okay.
I think it'd be a good idea. We've got a lot of money tied up in it. I remember years ago what it looked like to what it looks like now, and we might as well move ahead, clean it up. It looks a lot better than it has, and I think we can make it better.
If it's okay, what I'll do is, over the next few weeks, I'll get some estimates worked up so we know what the cost is. Bring those in, and we can have a kind of a more in-depth discussion about it then.
Okay.
Next item is the fabric building. I met Mr. Seymour down at the property, and the piece of ground that we're talking about is the very southwest corner of what would be the pit area. So back over in that area, adjacent to the one Lyman field, you have where Rudicell has his concrete blocks, and he stores all that dirt. We're storing the dirt for that.
We're proposing that we set up the fabric building there on a concrete foundation as a permanent installation. I did meet with Rudisell and talked with him about whether or not that would impact him. He said so long as we assist with moving those concrete blocks in that dirt, that he didn't see a problem with it. And he asked if he might be able to use it for some VIP stuff throughout the course of the year for race season. I don't have an issue with that. I do see a benefit of setting the building up and leaving it there permanently from all signs with the rodeo. It's going to be something we're going to be doing for the next several years. And having that building set up over there would give us two things. It'd give us a place to store some additional fiber products during the course of the season, the course of the year, and then we'd also be able to use it for the rodeo stuff each year in the fall.
But then he could actually use it for different things
Yep,
too.
he could use it for different things.
Other people could probably utilize it.
Yeah, we would do the upkeep on it. We would maintain control of it that way. The maintenance and so forth would be taken care of. Yeah, but they would go through us, but we'd be open to letting people use it from time to time, sure.
Any questions?
Well, I've just got to say, I've been asking from the very beginning, and I've gotten different answers. I wanted to know how much the rodeo cost us, and I still haven't got the exact answer that is agreed upon. I don't know if we're going to do the rodeo next year, so I don't know why we want to put up a permanent tent if we may not even do it. And when we bought this tent, we bought it in the mindset that we could use that tent wherever we wanted to in Lawrenceburg. It's supposed to be movable. So I'm not in favor of putting it up permanent.
Well, I think it's a great idea. I think the rodeo is good for our community, especially on that weekend that it's held. So I think get it in a permanent spot's a good idea.
If we put it in a permanent spot, it'll eliminate the cost of putting it up and taking it down too.
Yeah.
And if we put it over there in the fairgrounds, like he was saying, that it could be used not only for utilities, but the racetrack and whatever we have. If they have a function,
Yeah,
ball
I think.
diamond, they could use it for like a get-together or something.
Well, I think Paul could tell you when we had it set up there before. I don't know how many people come to you, Paul, and asked if they could use it for, Pee Wee football, Little League, all kinds of different things.
Right.
There was a lot of people asking if they, with it being over there in the park like it is, there's a lot of practical uses that building could serve a purpose for.
Well, it'd work a lot better over there than it would be sitting over where you got it at now,
Yeah.
stuck way out of the way. So we've got it. So we got to put it up so we can use it for multiple things.
Great.
Besides what you're going to use it for the rodeo.
From all things that I know about, I mean, we're planning this rodeo and spending money on it right now, I believe, aren't we?
That's correct.
So we are having it,
Yes,
and I think it's already been okayed.
it is.
So we are having it this year. Now, the following year might be a question every year, but I think it's a good event. I will say I like the idea of setting it up. I don't think permanent's the right word. If you was ever to really, really want to move it somewhere else, Tony, you could, but it would be a permanent foundation, but that building could be taken down
Sure.
and moved if you really wanted to do something with it, but
Well, permanent storage area for the building for right now that we can actually use, but it's a storage area, out of the way, usable.
yeah. So I wouldn't be against it with one condition. I don't wanna get into heating it, don't want a whole lot of electric. I want the basics just like you had.
Sure.
No, that's it. So,
Okay, well, if it's okay with the board, I'll proceed with the planning for that.
How much? Shouldn't we find out how much it's going to cost us first?
let's let him bring that back to us. Part of the planning would be you coming back with letting us know what you're gonna spend on it and
Yeah.
what it is.
Mhm.
Okay.
The next issue on committee reports, I'm gonna let Crystal handle this one. She's been, as everybody is aware, Crystal's our key accounts professional. She's the one who works with the large customers in the city. This Green Power program is a program that's being offered through IMPA that, I've got enough of it, if I can get you one. This is offered through IMPA. I'll let Crystal talk more about that.
Okay, so as Olin stated, this is a program that's offered through IMPA. Do you want me to go up there? Okay.
Do you mind?
I'll take some notes.
Okay, so IMPA offers this Green Power program to the communities that purchase power from them. There are several communities that are actively involved in this already. Basically what it is it allows our customers to purchase what we consider green power. Basically, it's like a rider on their bill. It's a set amount. If you can see on one of the pages here, it tells you the different options that they can elect to purchase. And it sends the money back to IMPA to allow for them to invest in more green power resources, wind, water, those things that are becoming more popular. I have,
Voluntary program.
yeah, it is a voluntary program, but what is nice about it that I foresee almost with economic development is some of the larger businesses are starting to become required to purchase like green power or type credits. And if we allow them to participate in this, IMPA will actually give them a certificate that allows them to state that they are part of like a green power energy program, which is good for them. And it also is good for new businesses that are coming in or interested in coming to Lawrenceburg. I did get a couple ordinances from a couple of the communities that are already doing this, and I've sent it over to one of the attorneys to take a look at to help kind of get that rolling. But I wanted to just give you kind of a heads up of what it was so it wasn't new to you when we come to you and ask you to maybe approve an ordinance for that. Do you have any questions?
Are they limited to the number of kilowatt hours?
Yeah, there's a set limit here. It's up to 1,000 kilowatt hours per month. It's on that paper right there that I gave you.
Okay, yeah.
Yep. So hopefully we can all work together and move toward green power energy program for our customers. We did have kind of what started this whole conversation is we did have a resident come to us and asked if we offered anything like this. So I started looking into it, and I found this and thought it would, as I looked into it more, I thought it would be really beneficial for our community. Any more questions?
Any other comments, guys?
No? Okay,
Thanks, Crystal. New business.
Your Honor, on both the new business items, the ordinance regarding the sewer changes and the grease interceptors,
Okay.
I'm gonna ask to table both of these. The grease interceptor for the reason that going through the ordinance, we were trying to kind of do a fix of the ordinance by adding some additional language to it. Looking at the ordinance, it's so old and it's so archaic, we just need to do really a complete replacement of it. And so it's gonna be a little heavier lift than just adding. I'm afraid if we just try to alter the existing ordinance, we're gonna wind up with some conflicting information, or we might have a weakened ordinance if it was challenged. And so I'm gonna go back to Cindy Fort, have her help us clean some of that up, and we'll have the ordinance prepped and ready to go for recommendation to the city council at our next meeting.
Okay, so I probably ought to get a motion to table that way it
Please.
gets brought back up.
Yes, Your Honor.
We'll make a motion, we table that.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Any other new business? Old business?
Mr. Talkers.
Good evening. I'm Jeff Talkers with Land Consultants, representing Scenic Ridge Development, which I came here, I believe, last month regarding an 18-lot subdivision that Jack Moss would like to build up on the top of Scenic Ridge. We've done a little more research with the utilities, and LMS, which can supply water in this area, only has a 4-inch line up there. They do not provide fire service, fire hydrants, and he would like to have fire service and fire hydrants in this subdivision. There's no plan from them for future improvements for that area, so I'm requesting or asking that LMU, the city, look into possibly feeding this with water service. And also, because we're relatively close to the sewer force main that's on Scenic Drive owned by LMU, we need to tie into the sewer as well somehow. We cannot do any type of septic system anyway. We understand electric and fiber optic would be available through the city, through LMU, so what we're asking is, can the city provide this to this property without it being in the city limits?
So I think we need to separate this into two issues. Number one, we do have sewer immediately adjacent to the property. It actually fronts the property for probably 100, 125 feet. And then we have electric, which also fronts the property for quite some way. So we have the ability to provide the sewer services and the electrical services. The question on the sewer is going to be, as that line comes down Scenic, it goes from a 3-inch, I believe, melt at the top, down to 2-inch and to 1-inch. And so we're going to have to think about what we need to do internally to be able to serve 18 homes off of that line. Either it's coming into that sewer line and ripping and replacing the 1-inch with a 2-inch poly in order to have the capacity, or maybe it's a 3-inch, I don't know. We'll have to have someone look at that for us. Or doing a wet well at the base of the property and then having a controlled way to pump those ebb and flows, back up the hill. And so that's kind of on us to try to figure out. On the electrical, we have a stipulation in our general terms and conditions that allows us to advance capital to a certain amount of the project's estimated electrical revenues for a period of 2 years. And so we'll take a look at what we think the estimated construction costs will be on that, and we can deal with that as well. On the water, there isn't a mechanism in the water for us to advance capital. So the only way that we could serve that property is through some type of a development agreement or something that guarantees that we can recapture the capital over a period of time. And so I think what we would look for is if the board wishes, a motion to at least investigate and negotiate, and to see if we can come up with some terms that are yes, no.
Well, I'm prepared to make a motion, Olin, to hire someone to do a study on what it would take to get the sewer there and the water there. And then if we need a development agreement, then we would do that. And now this would be provided to the development property line, and then the developer would take the rest of it. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Would the developer be considered if he would get annexed into the city or not?
I believe he's okay either way.
Okay.
And I would assume that we'd have to sign something if a utility agreement was done.
If we provide sewer, by default, they have to sign a remonstrance. Whether or not we can, make good on that or even put it into force is a completely separate issue. But state law would require that the property signs a remonstrance waiver.
Yeah, and I think the study, would help you out to decide whether it should be a force main or gravity to a point and then back up Wilson Creek. So it's going to be my motion, if that's okay.
Can I add something on your motion?
Sure.
If you approve it. I'd like to know the cost for each utility to get to the property line,
That's part of this.
separated by like electric, sewer, and water.
Say that again.
I'd like to get a cost estimate to get each utility to the property, electric, water, and sewer separated out.
Breakdown, right?
Yeah,
I
breakdown.
think we can do that. From my understanding, the developer's gonna be responsible for the utilities on the property.
On the property.
And then, so we would go to property
Yeah.
line, we're really adjacent to
Yep.
it now.
Yeah.
But I can get those costs broke out.
Okay.
Electric's adjacent, sewer's adjacent, water's Wilson Creek or Tower Road.
Okay.
So it's not anywhere near.
And then I would like to add to Aaron's suggestion that along with the cost, we give a projection on the amount of money that the utility will make off of this extension.
Are you asking about the amount of money specific to the 18 or 20 homes?
Yeah,
Or the,
an average use of whatever size house that is.
because the one thing that we need to be mindful of is there's gonna be other property owners along Wilson Creek that are.
Well, and you
that
can
potentially
project a little bit, this property might be developed and for whatever, so. But I think that would be helpful to the rest of the board, maybe.
Okay.
I think it'll make it easiest for us to make a decision if we know the benefits. What you're gonna benefit, what possible school system, taxes. If we annexed, I'd like to see it annexed and get all, if we're gonna be the ones spending the money, I'd sure like to.
I think if I'm understanding tonight, we're just looking for permission to move forward in getting these costs bore out, and then coming back to the board with those individual costs before we agree to anything being signed.
Well, if I see the cost, I'm gonna have a whole lot easier time making a decision if I know what the rewards are. That's all I'm asking, whatever kind of rewards we might end up with.
So that's to piggyback on it, Aaron's request.
That's fine.
So the motion on the floor is to investigate the costs associated with getting the utilities to the property, but also the benefit, what's the benefit at the end of the project gonna be for the utilities and such, right?
And I think part of it too is going to be, there's gonna have to, once we kinda understand these costs, Jeff and Mr. Moss and myself are gonna have some discussion about this development agreement. How, what the terms of that are going to be, much like we've done with Riviera and others. But, the water utility especially has got to recover the capital.
And I think if the sewer line is extended and expanded, probably you'll pick up more customers along the way.
Potentially.
Yeah. So anyway, I move to do the study and include all the recommendations that we have discussed.
Okay, so the motion on the floor is to go ahead with researching the costs for getting these 3 utilities to the property and bringing it back to the utility board, but also have what a benefit analysis done with it as well. So that's a motion.
Yes.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. And,
Include fiber in the motion.
okay.
Yeah.
We can include fiber.
Can we, once the study and everything is done, can we make sure that, for each home, they put in a spare 1.25 inch conduit to each home?
Yeah, I think that's a discussion we can work out, Jeff, huh? Yeah.
Okay, any other old business?
No, Your Honor.
I got one thing that I missed earlier on the when we were doing the approval on the minutes. We had another Utility Service Board work session on May the 20th. I'd like to get the minutes approved for that.
So move.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That motion will carry. All right, entertain a motion to approve the claims.
So move.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion will carry. Motion
All right.
to adjourn.
Your Honor, if I may, I think the most prudent way to handle some of the claims that are not usual course of business claims, like the rodeo, would be to approve those separately, review those separately. I met with the clerk treasurer today, and I just had some concerns about approving rodeo claims as a group. And there's, I think, over $3 million in the claims tonight, and hopefully everyone had a chance to go through those.
Who hasn't had a chance to go through them?
No, I just, hopefully everyone had a chance to go through those. You know, the clerk treasurer's job in this relationship is to make sure that the claims are tied to invoices and then send them on to you for approval. But we've got the normal utility business in that claim packet, but we also have rodeo claims. So
I understand, but when you put a claim together, there's an account number for the rodeo and there's a description.
yeah, but we.
So I think they're in there.
Well, but that's what Tony brought it up tonight. We had an issue last year where there wasn't a budget for the rodeo. There still isn't a budget for this year's rodeo. So I don't know how we're tracking what's being spent on the rodeo versus what's being spent in normal utility
The budget
expenses.
for the rodeo is
I'd
part
like
of
to
the
see them
utility
separate too.
budget.
Well, what's the budget? What's the amount?
What's the number?
No, you're on the utility board. What's the number?
Well, the city appropriated a number.
Well, you're on the board, so what's the number
I
for the
for- I
rodeo?
forget, but it's included in the budget.
But do you
We've,
know a
we've never
ballpark?
set a budget for the rodeo that I know of.
Yeah. Well, there's
And I
a,
think Owen's gonna bring that back.
I'm gonna bring it back, and I wanna remind everybody, IMPA is contributing 20,000, IMEA is contributing 20,000, the city's contributed 30. We agreed to let the utilities contribute 30. There's a lot of money coming in from other entities that aren't the city into this. We've got a number of vendors who've contributed $3,000 apiece so far. This isn't LMU's money. This is vendors' money who want to come to our community and support an event in our community.
so have we deposited that vendor's money, or are we using that vendor's money to pay these claims?
We've deposited that vendor's money.
We have a separate GL account, an accounting scheme, everything is in that GL account.
So
when you
the
look
only
at
money
those-
being spent is from vendors.
When you look at those claims,
that-
you'll see it's tied to that GL account, it's, 10165.
So that's the
when you
only
Look at all those, that's where all the rodeo money is spent from.
So it's only coming from vendors? Okay.
Dale, do you feel like we should do this about all the big projects in the city where it comes from multiple line items?
Sure.
Okay, because I heard that they're having the same issue. You have to bring it before city council, but with the park, because the budget was 6.5 million, but it's at 7.8.
The park?
But yeah,
The park 7.8?
that's Richard. Does that sound about right?
That includes the pre-project costs.
Part of the
drawing diagram.
yeah,
The park project itself was.
Maxwell's piece to the park project is at 6 million, and that is where that is at. However, the overage is from the other. If you go back and look at that printout, I don't have it with me, but
Basically, it's the same thing as this, though. I mean, it's they're saying that because Olin's saying this is a part of the rodeo. Some people say it's not. With the park, you're saying it's this. Now you're not counting part of the design of the park. I mean, it's the same thing. You're pulling from different line items and not counting it in.
But if you
With the
remember,
park and with the
Aaron,
rodeo.
Let me talk about the park part. The only thing I know about, I don't know about the rodeo piece, but that was the way it was set up with the council. That the soft costs at the front end of the project was not part of that 6 million.
Yeah, I know, but it's come from different line items. But at the park itself, if we never built the
I
park,
just wanted to make sure.
7.8 was the last million was the last estimate that I heard. It came out of
that's-
the clerk treasurer's office.
That's more or less a city project. This rodeo is more like Fall Fest, and we have a budget for Fall Fest, and everything that is spent on Fall Fest is reported to us, and we know that's where it went.
Well,
So that's why I think it'd be a great idea to have this rodeo separate from LMU, because if not, they get tied together.
That's what Colin just said.
It's separate, there's a separate accounting code for it.
That's
Everything
just
is
for the money that's being brought in, though, right?
brought in
And
expended.
expended.
Everything that happens with the rodeo is in that fund. And that's the numbers that we brought to you guys last month that show what our financial, status is. I mean, we have an issue that we don't agree on a few expenses, but Olin and I went and
brought all of our information to them. And we brought the videos, we brought all the contracts, we brought the backup to the invoices, and they told us that if we have all that when the auditors come, then everything is fine. I don't know how much farther you guys want to go with this, but I mean, I feel like we've all done our due diligence.
Well, I would like to see a budget amount. I mean, like for Fall
Tony,
Fest,
I
we
don't-
say
I don't
you had
agree
this
with you.
top number, that's it.
I don't
So-
disagree with you on the budget. Here's the issue. We had 7 teams from Illinois that just registered. We have 5 teams from Owington that just registered. We've got teams from App, Ohio that are registering. So as those teams register, our budget numbers change. Our revenue changes because they pay $500 per team to come in. And so as the budget numbers change, so does our revenue. So I can give you some proposed costs on what we think the rodeo is going to cost us, but just understand that as more and more people register for this thing, we're increasing our revenue exponentially, and we're also increasing our budget to match that.
But I would also like to see a top dollar spent on it. I don't want like the just, okay, we'll write a check out for this, we'll write a check out for this, we'll write a check out for this. I want to see a top dollar. This is how much we're going to spend on this rodeo, period.
Let me ask you a question. If we have over $100,000 of outside money coming in, I don't know that I feel comfortable about saying we're not going to spend that money on the event. This isn't a for-profit thing.
You spend that money first on the event, then you start taking LMU money.
I agree with that. I agree with that wholeheartedly. I don't disagree with that one bit. And as far as rodeo expenses to date this year, we might have a couple $100 that goes towards rodeo so far this year.
8,995.
Well, that's including expenses for the 2018 rodeo that were paid in 2019. But the actual 2019 rodeo.
The bill from Impact for the patches and
Yeah.
hats?
Yeah, those are shirts for the rodeo.
And it wasn't just shirts for rodeo, all the uniforms that the men wear have those patches on. So the shirts they wear every day to work have patches on them that we paid for, that we bought through Impact.
I think that the way that the utilities are keeping track of their money is appropriate. I think it's been not blessed by the State Board of Accounts, but certainly not condemned. So I really don't see a big issue with it.
Olin, would you be able to, or Colin actually, at every meeting, bring down a breakdown of what the rodeo has cost so far?
Sure.
I think that would solve a lot of people, that's all your.
Yeah, it'd be nice to see it.
Yeah, just on not mixing with all the claims, just separate, this much patches, this much this, and total up totally to that point.
And I can email that to you guys so far, that way you guys have that too.
So from this point forward, we'll have a separate
That's
report.
fine.
We'll have a financial report on the utility. We'll have a separate report on the revenues and expenses for the rodeo.
That way there would be
They
no.
go to the clerk treasurer's office as well.
Sure.
Yeah, and that way no one would have a question when somebody comes to the meeting, like, how much has the rodeo, 2019 rodeo cost? Here it is right here, this cost, and the bottom dollar.
But
Then
one
there'd
thing
be
I
no
would-
debates.
One thing that I would ask is, before you assume that patches are a rodeo expense, at least come and ask us. Because if you go to each one of the guys in the field and you look at the uniform they're wearing, they've got a patch on them, that's not a rodeo expense. So you just need to ask us those things so we can give you the
I
answer.
think-
Don't just assume something.
I think even,
I was just going by your GL account on the sheet that was passed out. It said prepaid rodeo expense.
I think if a garment is FR rated and is worn every day to work, I don't give a darn what kind of patches are on it. They could be NASCAR patches as long as they're FR rated. Who cares? That isn't necessarily applicable to the rodeo or to NASCAR.
Okay. Any other questions? Nope. Not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Second?
Second.
All those in
What
favor?
about the claims?
We did.
We approved them all?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Did we do them all, the claims?
I don't know, I don't remember.
Tony,
I think we got talking, I think we got sidetracked.
Tony,
We did.
Tony
Did we?
motioned and Mel seconded for the
Okay,
claims.
okay.
Now you're making.
Yeah, I don't remember.
All those in favor of adjournment?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, everybody.
Yes, ma'am.
Huh?
You raised that part, you got a question.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna have to look at that myself because I didn't see.
Looks nice.
Huh?
I wanna know what.
You are.
Where that went to? Where did pop that? Well, that's
time we spent before we even got the park.
You too.
That's what we awarded.
That sounds good. I gotta cook when I get home too. Well, yeah, my dog won't either.
Anne Marie.